I'll call the meeting to order. Does not look like we have an invocation this evening. So we'll start with our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
We republished, I believe it was either Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning, but no changes since then.
And move to approve the agenda.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Public comments. This is a time where citizens are encouraged to speak publicly. We request that you come to the podium and state your name and address, speak respectfully, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Are there any public comments? Okay. Proclamations, recognitions, and presentations. Elder Abuse Awareness Month proclamation.
Okay. So June brings about elder abuse awareness. I gave you the purple ribbons because June 15th is Wear Purple Day for elder abuse. They also celebrate June 19th for Juneteenth and freedom for everybody. And I will read the proclamation for today. Elder Abuse Awareness Month, June 2026. Whereas according to the National Council on Aging, 1 in 10 seniors in America experience mistreatment or abuse, including domestic and sexual violence, financial exploitation, and neglect. And whereas abuse of older adults are both women and men are usually family members, caregivers, healthcare workers, or other trusted individuals due to the shame, fear, or the other barrier elders face in reporting abuse. And only a limited number of victims are able to get help that they need. And whereas elders throughout the United States lose an estimated $2.9 billion or more annually due to elder abuse and $28.3 billion annually due to financial exploitation, such as the illegal taking, misuse, or concealment of funds, property, assets of a senior or another's benefit. And whereas too often elder abuse threatens the livelihood of older individuals, erodes their extraordinary potential, and increases their risk of death by 300% compared to seniors who have been mistreated. And whereas Cloud County's vulnerable and older adults of all social, economic, racial, and ethnic backgrounds may be targets of abuse, neglect, or exploitation, which can occur in families, long-term communities, and medical settings. And whereas we all have a responsibility to support the safety, welfare, and dignity of vulnerable older adults, we must work towards ending elder abuse by assisting victims in assessing the information and supportive services they need, creating better and more resources for older adults in need, instituting effective intervention and prevention policies, and engaging in discussion with family members and peers to promote awareness and prevention of the quiet epidemic of elder abuse. And now, therefore, the City of Concordia Commissioners hereby proclaim June 2026 as Elder Abuse Awareness Month in Cloud County, and urge all the citizens together to help promote elder abuse from abuse, neglect, and exploitation, because it's imperative that we refuse to tolerate the indignity of elder abuse.
Thank you very much.
All right. So I know they all could sign it, but you know. And I got quite a bit of material here. I don't know, Ms. Tolbert going to have a flyer? Okay, I'm going to give one to you guys, and I'll give the rest of the flyers and everything, except for a couple of these and a couple of these. I'll just leave these guys with you for the city. I'll give you guys little bit of stuff over here, and then I'll start the department. So.
Okay. And Julie, I have this for you.
Yes, I need that. Yes, I do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, we will now move on to our action agenda, the minutes of the May 20th, 2026 meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of May 20th, 26.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Appropriation ordinance number 10.
I move to approve appropriation ordinance number 10.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Resolution 2026-2235, return of proceeds.
Mayor and Commissioners, Tim is out this week, so you've got me for this one. The structure at 311 West 2nd was originally in the condemnation process, and the structure's been removed. Tim has determined the property to be safe and is now ready to return the insurance proceeds. So we're asking you to approve Resolution 2026-2235, determining the structure to be safe and secure, and to return the insurance proceeds in the amount of $10,570.95.
I move to approve resolution 2026-2235.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Sale of real estate, gift to O'Connor Animal Shelter.
All right, Mayor and Commissioners, we had, we gotten word last year early that we were informed that we've got a gift from the Republic County in the way of land. That land was in probate court and it's finally worked its way through the process. So your authorization tonight would allow the sale of that land and then the proceeds to be gifted to the O'Connor Animal Shelter. So it's an authorization for the sale of real estate and authorize the mayor to sign the beneficiary acknowledgement to proceed with the sale of real estate. That document is located within your agenda packet. If you have any questions, I can do my best to answer the questions. If I can't answer them, I'll have to look up the answer for you or find somebody that can help us out there.
Somewhat maybe a simple question. Are there any plans for specific use of funds?
Not that I know of. I don't know, Brett, do you have plans in place for that?
We talked about either, and this is real early stages, either remodeling the shelter there to make it more user-friendly or try to find another place to put up a new shelter.
Okay.
At real early stages.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Are there any other questions?
That sale, that's the appraisal value, but that's not necessarily the price that it'll sell at.
It is in this case. So
It
what
is in this
the
case,
what the
okay.
attorney's office has told us is that what the appraised value is what the buyers have agreed to pay.
They have already. Okay.
Okay.
It's under contract, I think.
Yes.
I move to approve the sale of the real estate gifted to the O'Connor Animal Shelter and authorize the mayor to sign the beneficiary acknowledgement, consent, and approval of sale of real estate document. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Brown Grand Windows.
Okay, Mayor and Commissioners, we've been working on this project for several years now. We have windows that are deteriorating and continue to deteriorate. Melissa and I worked with the State Department SHPO, as well as working with the one loan bidder that bid on our project last year to repair those windows on the north side, to try to reduce the scope down to get in with more of an affordable range. As you can see in your memo, there were several grants that we applied for and did not receive. However, we were approved for the state rehabilitation tax credits in the amount of $100,000. It's kind of misleading because once you sell those tax credits for $100,000, then you actually receive about 90 to 95 cents on the dollar, but then you only actually receive 40% of that back. So it ends up being around $36,000 to $38,000, depending on how good we do with the sale of those tax credits. I'm trying to get to that page here. We had budgeted $50,000 in CIP for the windows themselves. We had also budgeted $60,000 in CIP for HVAC and boiler repair. We've spent a portion of that, and we still have $42,450 remaining in that fund. Things look to be fairly stable with the HVAC system so far. We did lose some sensors in a lightning storm, so we're still kind of working through how to get those replaced. But if we take the 50,000 NCIP allocation toward windows, 42,450 remaining from the boiler, and then we plan toward 38,000 in the tax credits, that leaves us 19,550 short. So if we pull that from reserves, which we've talked with Amber about, and we can do that, then that would allow us to get to our budget of 150,000. If you look in your packet at the photo of the Brown Grand, there are, I believe it's 17 window openings that are highlighted on the north side. That's not all of the window openings, but those 17 are in the worst shape, and those are ones that we would be able to repair within that $150,000 budget. Chris Sprouse of Sprouse Restoration has time available in his schedule this year. He could start in July or August and then be done by the end of the year, which would be very, very helpful to us. So we would be asking for your permission to proceed with working with him, recognize, but contingent on successful sale of those tax credits. We've not yet started that process yet.
So did we not have 50,000 in last year's budget for these windows?
We did. We budgeted 50,000 out of the FY26 CIP, and then we went after some grants, and we we're going to use that as our matching grant funds.
So we don't have any in this year's budget.
We carried it forward. We didn't add any additional funds to that line, so we carried it forward.
How much are the sensors? I mean, like a rough idea, and how many went out? Like, is that going to be a significant expense?
I can't remember.
So they were the drivers on the air conditioning units. They were brand new. We just installed them in February, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the price that they were, and Hoods is supposed to be getting us a price point on replacing those drivers. But I don't remember what they were when we paid for them previously.
We'll have to go back and take that.
I don't think they were astronomical, like not in the tens of twenties of thousands of dollars, but
I remember, I was thinking that we had an estimate for 13, but I can't remember if that was that plus the sensors or not, if that was two separate things. So we'll have to go back and look. For sure.
So they're not, if you just put them in February, were they not any kind of warranty?
we need to find out from the installers who put them in. Yeah. But I don't know if lightning strike would
Yeah.
qualify or not.
Probably not a warranty, but there may be an insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have, so our insurance deductible is 25,000 for windstorms, and so we have to finish getting the estimates for all of the damage. We don't yet have the damage estimates for roofs, and that piece yet from the storm.
But it's not per property, it's for everything cumulative, okay.
Yes. So if we did this much, I guess the other piece that's in your memo too, one of the grants that we applied for was the Heritage Trust Fund grant, and we were denied that one. And when we spoke with the folks in that office, they told us that the grant committee had favored different types of projects, and that was consistent with what was awarded. They were projects, it seemed like ones that really served community need, like places that served lunches out of buildings that were otherwise taken, as one example. They said every year the grant committee changes makeup, so we don't know if they would like our project better next, but they did say what could be favorable is if we started the project and then we went back and applied next year and said we need help to finish the project. That may be a stronger argument. They said otherwise our application was very strong and very well done, and it's a deserving project. So we do believe that proceeding right now would be beneficial not only to maintaining the integrity of the building envelope, but actually probably would help our chances at a Heritage Trust Fund grant this next year to finish the window replacement project.
Overall, that's significantly better than the first time we came, to this discussion. So, I mean, the additional investment that the city's gonna have to make is the under 20, that wasn't budgeted. That'll have to come out of reserves. If the Heritage Grant does come through, then that looks pretty favorable.
Yeah, it'll help. So, and that is something, full disclosure, if we spend the 50,000 out of CIP this year that was allocated toward windows, if we're going to apply for Heritage Trust Fund grant, next time we're going to have to allocate more in CIP when we budget for 2027. So we will be coming back to you at our study sessions in July, asking for another line item for funds allocated toward windows to help us finish the project.
How many windows are left after these 17?
I think there's a total of 54 openings at the theater. most of which are on the front. So if we get this Heritage Trust Fund grant, it would finish the north side only, but then we would look at the east, west, and south side as well.
That's a lot of windows.
Yeah. And I know there's not pictures in your packet, but on the north side, on the interior, if you haven't been over recently, we're seeing a lot of lath and plaster decay, cracking. The paint that was brand new interior paint that was just put on the windows in 21 is bubbling and peeling on the interior from all the water coming through on the north side. So the damages on the interior just continue to get worse and worse.
I feel like this is a really important project and that we need to commit to it. And so I move to approve the reduced scope quote of $150,000 from Sproul's Construction and Restoration LLC pending the successful sale of the state rehabilitation tax credit. Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those.
No, I did think of one other question, like during Fall Fest and other time, this is like an obviously ongoing, is it gonna take up a lot of space? Is there gonna, as far as interfering with anything else going on downtown during any busy times or any times, like parking wise, or otherwise?
We talked with Chris about that, so I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Elizabeth, the way that he described repairing and replacing the windows, the pieces that need to be repaired, he will pull out the windows, he'll disassemble, number all the pieces, put a blank back in that space, take the window pieces back to his shop, repair them, bring them back and assemble them back. So the time when he'll have scaffolding and lifts there would be fairly minimal. So it won't block that much time. And we talked with him about when Fall Fest was, that's a critical time. So that's a time that we probably shouldn't be planning to have lifts and things there. So we'll continue to coordinate that schedule, but all of the actual restorative work to the pieces that need to be repaired is going to be done at his shop, and he'll come back and assemble the pieces.
And we even made sure that whatever he puts in as a blank will be backproof as well. Do you remember our ongoing bet?
Just so you know, since you guys have been trying to get rid of bats, guess where they've gone?
We have buddies on the east side, you have bats on the west.
Oh, come on. My problem's worse than yours.
Generally is.
That was my only.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Federal funds exchange for 2026.
Commissioners, Federal Funds Exchange Program is a voluntary program in which local public agencies can trade its federal obligation authority, KDOT, or another local agency to exchange for state funds. State funds are paid on a reimbursement basis as the LPA incurs costs. Some key benefits of this fund exchange include eliminating costs and time-consuming requirements of federal aid projects, more flexibility in selection of projects, road construction and reconstruction projects, pavement preservation projects, purchase of aggregate used exclusively on road-specific projects, and safety improvements such as signs and pavement markings. This exchange program would allow the city to receive 90% of the funds to be exchanged. The amount of funds to be exchanged this year is $73,801.09. Of this amount, the city will receive $66,420.98. This exchange will allow the city to be more flexible with the use of its funds. Have any questions on the federal fund exchange?
Is there any projects in mind for these funds, this new fund allocation specifically?
Stuff's usually pretty much goes to whatever we're working on. I think pretty much that year.
Yeah, it's kind of a look back, whatever we spend, and then we end up putting toward materials or equipment replacement, things of that nature, anything that would work on these roads, if there's certain projects.
That fit the description and they'll work out. They'll get submitted to it.
I'd move to authorize the mayor to sign the request to exchange federal funds in the amount of $73,801.09 and to apply for reimbursement of $66,420.98.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. We'll now move on to reports. So we have a manager's report.
Mayor and Commissioners, got League Against Municipalities meetings tomorrow afternoon and Friday morning, so I'll be McPherson those days. And then our next coffee connection is gonna be next Friday at 7:30 in the morning at the OCCK offices. And we did receive an invitation today from the senior center to have a coffee there. So we've offered the July date for that one. See how that goes.
Okay, staff reports.
Let's give an update on the tree damage cleanup. As of today, we've cleared sections 5, 3, 2, and finished up with section 1 today. What is left is section 4, which will start tomorrow. Section 4 is from Lincoln Street to West City limits and from 11th Street to 4th Street. During this cleanup, we've encountered several equipment breakdown issues that have caused delays in our cleanup effort. I'd like to personally thank city staff and also the Cloud County Road and Bridge. They have graciously donated a loader and a grapple and 2 operators throughout this process. After cleanup is completed, we plan to get back on our routine maintenance along with our project of removal and replacement of the planter boxes downtown, which needs to be completed by the end of August. As of today, we have hauled off 465 loads of brush, and that have been taken to the city yard for disposal and have invested 745 man hours into the cleanup effort between us and the county. I also want to give an update on 7th and Doster / Highland Drive and 11th Street project. Both sites have been milled off. The valley gutter has been removed and installed on 13th and Highland. The paving company plans to pave Highland and 11th on the 15th of June. So that'll give enough cure time for that valley gutter. The old curb and gutter is being removed on 7th and Matthew Street in preparation of the new curb and gutter to be installed. And also work is being done to install the new inlets at 7th and Doster. And then in other news, 6th and Lincoln Street received its parts on Monday from the semi-sideswiping accident that damaged all the new pet buttons we had installed, and pet lights and lower traffic light during the C-Clip construction process. L&S came up on Tuesday and installed all those parts, and everything works great.
Interesting. Any other staff reports? Okay, Mayor, Commissioner, comments and reports. Let's start with Marcia.
Just another thank you to the city crews. It's good to have all that brush picked up. It's a lot of trees.
Happy to see the pool open. I made it to, I have to be careful how I enunciate because some people think that we are nude swimming, but it's noon swim.
Thank you for that.
Yes, yeah. You don't want to think too hard about it. But anyway, and I think that the pool staff seem like they're enthusiastic and have a lot of confidence in our managers this year. So.
And I don't have anything either. Would entertain a motion to adjourn to study session.
So move.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say sign. We are adjourned.
John, do you have anyone joining you today?
No.
So you can go to the podium or if you want to sit with me, whatever.
We'll do that next.
Whatever you want to do.
Good evening, Mayor Commissioners. 3 things I wanted to talk about tonight. First one's going to be how we break down our fire and ambulance payroll budgets. Looking to kind of realign those. Second thing would be a pay scale change for the fire department. And then the third thing is going to be discussing adding funds to the 2027 fire equipment budget for replacement of the SCBA equipment. Really my purpose of the study session is just to gauge kind of your support on these three things individually before I ask Amber to put a lot of time and effort into changing these things and putting it forth here in the 2027 budget process. So the first thing I'm looking at on that payroll budget realignment, definitely a 50-50 budget is not how we spend our time. The majority of it, the far majority of it is EMS. Had some numbers there for you. So 94% ambulance calls, 6% fire calls. If I add in those 120 fire inspections, it ends up being about 85-15, which if you look at the wage breakdown, a few pages back on how I wanted to realign it. So as it's written, that's how that is. I think you could easily make the argument that there should be at least one more person moved over to the EMS side. And if we were to do that, say we took Johnny Maston, moved him over to the 425 side, even that's going to make it 76% EMS and 24% fire. So we're definitely within that kind of 85-15 range. My only reason for not putting that on here is that I didn't want to make it this huge change all at one time. Maybe a subtle change would be better than trying to do all of it at one time. But I'll kind of leave that up to you guys if you think that we should just do it all at one time and not wait another year. It really doesn't change anything about our budget and overall amount that we're putting into it. It doesn't change the amount that we bill the townships for EMS. It's that equation kind of factors in all of payroll. You guys have any thoughts on that? The biggest purpose I would say for doing this is so that it doesn't look like I have a career fire department and that is it when I go to turn in financial stuff for grants. Biggest one coming up is AFG that I'm working on right now.
What benefit is it to wait if it's not going to financially change anything and it does benefit the grant process? Then what benefit would there be to wait?
There's not really. I just was looking for a subtle change versus this huge change at one time. And didn't want to.
Who would be most affected by the change? Is it more like just a logistics?
Yeah, it's. I mean, the two budgets put together doesn't change them at all.
I would be in favor of, if we're going to do it, let's do it and get it done. And if it's something that not only better reflects where the money is actually being allocated and improves our ability to go after grants, then it seems like it's something that.
Right. Yeah. I'll do the full 76%.
That's mine.
Good.
Seems like logical to do it all.
Has it always been like this? I mean, is this something that we have moved away from so much fire and more toward, I mean, is it because of our aging population?
Our call breakdown, pretty much always been that way.
It's always been this way?
Yeah,
Okay.
Since early 1900s, even fire calls in the whole US on average has slowly been going down. And EMS has slowly been going up. So we're no different than everywhere else in America following that trend. Yeah. There really hasn't been any drastic change for us from one year to the next over the last 10 to 15 years.
I mean, I just imagine over the last 50 years, ambulance service as a whole has just gained more functionality.
Yeah.
Instead of just having somebody drive themselves to the hospital or something else.
Or a hearse that holds people into the hospital. Yeah. original ambulances, so, yeah. So everybody's in agreement with that, I'll go ahead and have Amber do it with the 76%, 24%, and go ahead and move Johnny over to that side also. So the second item is the fire department payroll, the pay scale. So since I started as chief, there's been at least one full-time position open. Majority of the time there's been two. Anybody that's left us, the 4 or 5 there, have always left here for a higher paying job, whether it's direct pay or benefits have been better. The last person I interviewed that wasn't from around here was a guy out of Hoyt, Kansas that had gotten out of the military, was just filling out applications to go anywhere. And his only response to me when I had offered him a job was, I think I'm going to hold out for Salina. Because he was moving up in the process there. I don't know if he actually got the job or not. But he wasn't even willing to come on here and then wait until he had that job down there. And that really was the only feedback he gave me. The other individuals listed there, they all still reside in Concordia. They work part-time for me. I'm very thankful for the raise that we gave the part-timers at the beginning of 2025, because that has kept those individuals here working part-time for me. Without them, I'd be very tired. They have filled a lot of shifts. The one thing moving down about the reserve firefighters, moving them kind of up on the pay scale to where they're actually taking a pay cut. That's just some realignment of where I feel like people should fall in as far as the amount of workload that they do, what they do when they're on the job, and the amount of training that they need. Like I said, I'm not trying to give those people a pay cut, but if they want to make more, I really want them to take that EMT class, because that's where it really starts to help me out as far as filling shifts, covering transfers, calls. Not that we're having a terrible problem covering transfers. We've only turned down 8. We're definitely below our average so far. That's a lot due to the driver policy that we did last year about this time. I would say that the drivers have probably made it to where we're 40–50% of the transfers they've been covered. So they've taken a lot for me. Those individuals that are currently the ambulance drivers, I would probably not move them backwards, just because I don't want to lose any morale with them and drop our transfer rate. I would probably leave them at that line 11. But any new ones that come on would then be at that line 10. Moving to the wage study page. So Derek Champlin was the one that reached out and was getting these numbers from departments. Kind of took what information they gave us. We didn't necessarily get super in-depth information from all of them. You will see between the other cities and where the red boxes are at the top, there's one that says family insurance. That was kind of an afterthought or later on in the process. And once we reached out to get that information, I didn't have it back before I got your paperwork. I do have a few of them at this point that finally responded yesterday and today. They're really mixed on what other cities pay. They all are less than ours that the employee has to pay. So Salina, for family insurance, they pay $384. Abilene Fire is 75% city, 25% employee. Republic County is $90 a month for the employee, And then the Mitchell County EMS is 100% paid for EMS, but they said that their rates are getting ready to go up, so that is gonna change, but they had no idea what it was gonna change to at this point. So just make sure that was noted in there. Next to the Salina, your numbers show 23.31%, a negative 23. Looking at those this afternoon, I feel like they weren't probably as exact as they should have been, because it doesn't cover the full range of our captains or our paramedics. It was just jumping in on that same line. So after kind of refiguring the numbers, that the firefighter paramedic 3 red box, that is negative 23. I would adjust that to negative 6.5%, and the one right below that from negative 13 to negative 17%, so that it covers that full range and not just that one line where those individuals could fall. So then after looking at the pay scale itself and making those changes to where the moving down the lines, it changes it to a 5%. And then moving to the right, we change it from 1 to 1.5%. You can see in the green boxes what that does to our starting pay versus our longevity pay. Not a huge ask of the department, but also it's where do we find the money for it? We understand that every penny we get paid is tax dollars out of somebody's pocket. Any questions on the wage study itself?
And those numbers, like, the scale would be, if you added in COLA, then what do those are those the percentages after COLA?
No, those are percentages based on this year's pay.
Okay.
So.
And it was this year's pay with COLA increase, with the COLA increase?
The pay scale I used. It's the one that everybody's pay is based on right now in 2026. So all the changes are to that 2026. So if there was a 2.7 COLA in 2027, it would raise the proposed scale by 2.7%. And the pay that we requested from other departments was their 2026 pay.
Is that what we think COLA is going to be, is 2.7?
That's what's going on.
Thank you.
Yeah, John, I think honestly, you say here that you believe that the citizens of Concordia would support that. I would wholeheartedly agree. I think that we've struggled to compensate fire EMS and law enforcement where we would like to. I think we're going to run into some pretty difficult conversations this budget season. We've worked really hard to try to maintain, I think, our the tax impact or the increase in taxes. But I think all of our departments have been running very lean for a long time. And so I think trying to find the funds to support that, I would like to, if we're able to. I believe it's a worthy expense. So I support moving forward with trying to figure that out. How we're going to be able to do that is, I think, going to be a big conversation, but I'd like to be able to support our fire EMS and law enforcement to the greatest degree we were able to.
So do you feel like having Amber run with the pay scale change and without the pay scale change, so you can compare it? Or?
It's an easy question for me to ask and a much more difficult task for her to complete. So I'm in favor of that.
Okay.
And also, I know you just got insurance numbers, but if you could finish that out and not just the individual, but family, those rates, in a chart that
Oh, okay,
is comparable to ours, that'd be helpful during that time.
I can try to work on that.
If you're having to change some of those down on the scale, you're decreasing their salary, are you gonna lose?
No, you were talking about just holding them constant.
Yeah, the ones that on the
For
scale would technically move down, holding them where they're at least until like a COLA can catch them.
Oh, okay,
Does
I
that
don't
make
wanna,
sense, Marcia?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't wanna lose that morale for them. and-
yeah.
How many people does that affect, or would that affect potentially? Do you have any idea?
Yep. So it would be.
The reserves.
Yeah, it's the
The
reserves, or the reserve firefighters, that don't have the true EMS certification. Those are the ones that it would affect.
And I do appreciate kind of the encouragement to gain that certification.
Right.
Yeah,
I think that's good motivation.
I mean, my overall goal would be for all of those people to have their EMT and not have that issue. It'd be very helpful, but it's just not practical for all of them.
Sure, this would be a nice character.
Yeah. And then you can see by the reserve portion on and this is their gross pay for 2025, that there isn't a whole lot of wages in there. And a few of them even don't even write their hours down through the volunteers. Good. I will ask Amber to have both of those numbers, and I'll see if I can get a full EMS or a full insurance breakdown. The only issue I'll have with that is I don't know what their policies, how good they are, I guess, what they cover. It would just be what their expenses that they have to pay out of pocket is. So I'll do what I can there though. My paper's all messed up here. Okay, and then the last thing, looking at equipment replacement over the next couple of years. Starting this year, the biggest thing is our SCBA packs. They are 15 years, so NFPA says they are out when it comes to things like ISO points, the quality equipment that would give us. They no longer would get us any of those. How many points they get, I don't know at this time. I haven't made it that far into ISO research, but I do know we would lose a few. If you looked at the equipment inventory, the red marks or the red numbers are the ones that are outdated. The other items on there is our fire hose that would also be outdated. The threat to life is much greater with the SCBA equipment failing on somebody's back versus a fire hose. So that's why I chose to do the SCBA packs first, get through that, and then figure out fire hose later. We do test our fire hose every year. We've actually just finished that. So like this year, we've only lost three hoses that didn't pass testing. Versus the SCBA packs, we did have to spend some money to get a few of those fixed, parts replaced in them. And again, it's just a much more expensive item that would benefit from a grant to help us get those paid for. With the SCBA and the hose, the other big thing is our rescue truck being 25 years old this year. It has been a very good quality vehicle for us, but everything has its limitations, and eventually it is going to need to be replaced. At this point, if you look at the 10-year ERF paper that I had put out, coming up all the way out to our next pumper truck that we would need to buy, and that's just kind of an estimated cost of what it would be. You can see that it would put us negative not just the year that we buy it, but the year after in my ERF. So that would make us run a full year with that in the negative before we had funds to put back in it. I am slowly working that transfer amount up. But again, it's something that I'm not able to transfer hundreds of thousands of dollars to buy this truck in just a few years. And rescue trucks are very difficult to get grants for. So that ends up being majority out of pocket. So it's very important that we get grants for the SCBA's fire hose and a lot of our other high or expensive equipment that we have. So my only recommendation there, because I don't feel like I can ask for that much money for a truck, is that we continue to work towards full grant funding for the SCBA equipment. If you all agree to that, it also helps with points when it comes to grant the point system that they use. So, any questions about the equipment replacement?
I appreciate the forecasting and I appreciate
Thank you, John.
Yep.
We can go ahead and call to order the land bank meeting. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, moving on to new business, sale of real estate, 1103 St. Joseph Circle, Lot 7, Block B, St. Joseph subdivision.
Well, we are pleased to report that we have under contract the second MDH home of the St. Joseph subdivision, 1103 St. Joseph Circle. And so as part of that process, we need the land bank to authorize the sale of that property. Closing is set for June 15th, and so it's coming up very quickly. So your action tonight would approve the sale of the property to the buyers listed there with an effective date of June 15th and contingent upon a successful closing. So we know that sometimes things can happen before that. We hope it doesn't happen in this case, but we want to make sure that that contingency is there if we need it. So the process that would happen is you approve this, we prepare the deed, we send it over to Cloud Republic Title, and then it also would then authorize us to cut the check for the MIH down payment assistance. Cloud Corp will cut their check for the down payment assistance. We give all that to the title company. The buyers come together with their payment, and the title company does their work and processes everything, and then the contractor gets paid, and the homeowners receive title to the house and receive their keys, and they're ready to move in. I didn't make it up to the house this week, but the last report I got was that flooring and cabinetry were going in, and so it's very, very close to being finished. We should be able to hit the target date of June 15th.
I move to approve the sale of property located at 1103 St. Joseph Circle, Lot 7, Block B, St. Joseph subdivision for the deed.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say sign. Motion passes. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say sign. Motion passes. Do you need us all listed to sign that, or do you have are you a notary?
I am